the royal
We do nothing
public.
wrong. I mean, we're just perfectly reacting to it. Everyone
Obviously. That's the point of this podcast, is that we are right and people should listen to us. There's your clip, business boys. There's your show promo clip.
Hello and welcome to HR Confessions. I'm Rebecca Taylor.
And I'm Kim Rohrer. We're bringing you unfiltered perspectives from the world of HR with real stories and good advice.
And today we're talking about company values and when they go too far. So Kim, in your own words, what are company values and why are they important?
Company values are random words that companies put on posters and their job pages and walls and never do anything with. In an ideal world, your company values are a shared set of core beliefs that drive action across your company and drive behaviors in a consistent way. Ideally, they are somewhat unique to your organization, or that at least you have organization-specific ways of defining those values and the behaviors that come with them.
That's an excellent definition, especially the behaviors part, because we're going to be digging into the behaviors that values support and when they support it really well and what that could look like.
Oh man. Yeah. Values are, if I had like my top 3 things that I love to work on in HR, values are like my jam. I love them.
Yeah.
And what I love most is working with a company who has values but doesn't really know what to do with them besides, talk about them, and taking those values and asking them to define ways that they might use those values to make hiring decisions, to make firing decisions, to make business and revenue and sales decisions, to make product decisions. Like, your values should inform and be infused into everything you do as a company. And I just love them. I think it's because I like themes so much. I love a theme. I'm a theater person. I'm like, okay, the theme of this company is curiosity and trust. What does that mean? How do we explore
how does that
theme?
show up for us?
Yeah, how does that show up for you? It's great. I love it. I love values. I am scared now.
Yeah.
This is not a story of how everything went right.
It's not. It's not a story
don't
of
do that here.
It's not how everything went right.
That's not this podcast.
Or is it? Actually, that could be up for interpretation by the end of this conversation. So maybe that's like the thing that we'll weigh in on at the end of this. And remember, one little side journey. Remember when everyone was obsessed with the Netflix culture deck because of the first values like that it would show, and they were Enron's values, and it was like integrity, communication. That's what I always think of with values.
Yes. Yes. So many companies. Remember when transparency was the hot value and every company was like, we value transparency.
It's really funny that you mentioned that specific one because maybe it's going to come up in the story. Who knows?
Oh, yes. It's one of my favorite values to unpack because it was so popular from I don't know, 2010 to 2015 or so. It felt like every company was like, values, values, values. And our value is transparency. We value transparency, but we're not going to actually be transparent. I love it. I love it from a Schadenfreude perspective.
Okay. So that being said, now that you just said that, I want you to guess when this story takes place.
Oh my gosh. This is
amazing.
Your
best guess.
I swear, audience, Rebecca does not give me any information about these episodes before we record. That just shows you how pervasive this shit is. I'm going to guess this takes place in 2012, 2013-ish, that era of tech companies.
Yep. Yes, we are in the mid-2010s again.
Yes. It was such a good time for HR nonsense.
So it's actually funny because let me give you this, here's the profile. So we're in the mid 2010s again. The location is a very large East Coast city. So we're the East Coast version of this time.
Great.
The company, venture backed, founder led.
Wow.
So why do you think so many of our stories? I know. Why do you think so many of our stories come from these types of companies in this specific time period? I want your best guess. I actually had this as a leading question. And now a quick word from our sponsor, SkillCycle. SkillCycle is a talent development system that connects performance management to one-to-one coaching and development. The SkillCycle platform aligns individual growth with business objectives through continuous feedback, AI-powered development paths, and leadership training. As a SkillCycle co-founder, I'd love to talk to you out there in our audience. progressive people leaders who really get it. Let's chat over coffee on us to give us some feedback on the episode and about the challenges you're facing today. You might just contribute to a topic on our next episode. Email us today at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's hrconfessions@skillcycle.com.
Well, my take, having done HR at venture-backed companies in that time period, I think it's because it was a frothy time for tech companies. We were like coming out of the recession, and from like 2008, 2009, we were like coming out of that. Venture capital firms were investing again and like pouring money into companies. But they were also pouring money into companies that were founded by primarily young, primarily white, almost exclusively male founding teams who had no prior experience running companies. Many of them never had any experience working at companies. They just were given millions of dollars to go start companies. And back in those days, I can't speak to whether it's truly changed now. I'd like to think it has changed a little bit, but I don't really think it has. The VCs are primarily concerned with get your product out there and sell it so that we can turn this company around and sell it and make our money back on our investment. And so companies and founding teams especially were not incentivized to create great places to work outside of the parameters of you should have a great place to work so you can hire more people faster. They weren't being incentivized to retain employees. They weren't being incentivized to create healthy work cultures. We were still in the like frothy Google, Netflix culture time of like competing for who has the best lunch in their offices, and everyone has a ping pong table, and it's a bunch of people in their 20s. I myself was a person in my 20s during this time period.
Same.
And it's just like a bunch of young, hungry, hustly people, and everyone was hustling to build their big successful products, and everything felt new and shiny, and like money was pouring into companies and nobody really knew what they were doing.
Yeah I mean, it was definitely everything felt new and shiny. And it was also the time when investors were investing in ideas, and they were investing in the person behind the idea, but not necessarily expecting a functional company. So to your point, these are people who they'd never really worked anywhere before, so they didn't know. And there was just disruption everywhere. Yeah. And disruption's not necessarily inherently a bad thing. Like, I do think there was a lot of disruption in the idea of what an office could be and what an office could look like. And there was sort of like the anti-cubicle, the anti-suit. I do think that was like the good side of what this sort of era brought to that. And then it just went a little bit off the rails a little bit because people forget that companies are not your friend, and you're not hanging out with people. Like, you're in charge. This is a business, all that.
And a lot of companies at that time weren't thinking proactively about inclusion either. And so
we didn't know. No one really knew.
I'll own my part of it. I was brand new to this field in 2010, 2007, 8, like basically 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, I was new to this work. And I was listening to what my founding teams, what my bosses, what my coworkers wanted. And I wasn't really thinking about how homogenous it was until I'd been doing it for a couple of years and realized, like, how long am I going to be the only girl on the team? Why don't we have any people who aren't white who work here? What are we going to do when somebody's having a baby? And like all these kinds of questions were coming up. And I was like, oh, this is what HR can do. HR can make sure that the workplace is not just a bunch of dude bros who are trying to continue their college life now getting paid for it. And like the office is an extension of a dorm lounge. Yeah. Right. Like
it's a place of business now.
Right. And that was a hard transition for a lot of people. And I think there's sort of a generation of us HR people who grew up in HR during that time period where we're like, oh, our job in HR can be to actually disrupt this part of the office, not just let's not have any walls, which we later learned is not inclusive for people who have ADHD, have sensory processing issues, have a need to be on phone calls during the day. Like,
Oh, that's a whole part of this too. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Like there's this learning that happened, I think, in that, I'll call it like a decade of like the shiny times until COVID.
Yeah. I mean, that's
like,
true.
It was a big growth phase for tech, and I think a big growth phase for the HR people working in those companies.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny
There's my
because
TED talk on that decade.
No, it's true because like when I had, when I talked to this person and when I got this story, I was just like, of course it takes place at this time. Of course it's this type of thing. So as we get into it, today's HR hero, her name is Alicia.
Hello,
She's
Alicia.
an HR manager at this roughly 300 to 400 person direct to consumer company.
Great.
So I'm calling it Jimmy's, and I'm saying that they make fancy pajamas.
Ooh.
At the time this
Jimmy
story
Jam.
takes
You're
place,
Jimmy Jams.
I'm Jimmy Jams.
You get your Jimmy Jammies. I really hope that I know that that's not the real company, but I'm already like I really hope they incorporate Jimmy Jammies into as much of their corporate communications as possible. Fake company.
Well, and at the time the story takes place, this company is at its absolute peak. Like they're really fun and clever ads all over public transit. They're on TV, they have billboards, and people are buying these pajamas like crazy. They're like a status symbol because like they're kind of pricey, but they're also really soft and people genuinely love them.
Yep.
So they were making a ton of money in sales and they were raising venture money like crazy. So lots and lots of it really fast. Like remember
Everybody
that
wants a
era of the
piece.
D2C? Yeah.
I do. I sure do. It's like I'm like, how many companies are in that category? So many. But like, my immediately calls to mind like the Allbirds and the MeUndies,
Warby
and the
Parkers.
Warby Parkers, and all of these like. You can get this and it's going to be so awesome and it's kind of reasonably priced for how good it is and you don't have to go to a department store.
Yep. And that and this, like these companies were getting so much investment at that time too because this was kind of when they were sort of revolutionary. Yep. So culturally, Jimmy's is all about the vibe. It's a place where people work hard and play hard. The best part about working there is the people. Climb on board the rocket ship. I don't know if you remember like doing all those interviews and that was
my God.
all the job ads.
I mean, that was my first thought. I was like, what job ad did you pull this from? And we're seeing it. You know, what's interesting about this story so far is that, they say like fashion goes in cycles, like every 20 years, fashion reinvents it's like goes back to what it was. And now we're seeing tweens wearing what we wore in middle school.
I know, it's weird.
This language is making a comeback and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
It. But this language is totally coming back. Yeah, it's meaningless and it describes a like homogenous hustle culture of like everybody is cool. We all like to party. How do you prove it? You work 1,000,000 hours. Like
we work hard, we play hard, and then we play together. We never leave work because we're always working.
Because we're a family. Get on the rocket ship with your family.
Oh, I hate that.
No, I hate it. But I'm really seeing it in job descriptions now, and I hate it. Thanks. I hate
Probably
it.
because ChatGPT is like running through all those old job ads and it's like, here you go.
And this is why ChatGPT should not write your job descriptions.
The Internet Archives.
Oh my God.
So but the thing is, like, this was the culture that people wanted of a specific demographic. This is the culture that people wanted at the time. So Jimmy's actually has like a really good employer brand and people genuinely seem to like working there.
Absolutely.
They have no issues attracting and keeping talent. And they have an interview process that most other companies at the time are trying to replicate in one way or another. So like, it's also like a good interview process, which I didn't get a lot of details about what that was because I was a recruiter at this time. So I'm very curious, but it's sort of like a side quest to this story. So maybe I'll do a follow-up. But so Jimmy's credits their award-winning culture to their company values. Like they've won like all the best places to work things. And so they're like,
you mean
it's
they
all
paid
because of
and
our
they filled
company
out
values.
surveys? Sorry.
Yes, exactly.
Can I minor side quest rant? Those awards are all bullshit.
Yeah.
You have to pay to enter to win them. You have to fill out a billion surveys. They're just about who has money and who will be willing to do the grunt work to fill out all the crap. So if you're out there being like, I wish my company had that badge on our website, like, don't beat yourself up.
Well, not all of them. So there are some that are real, but the popular ones are the ones that are paid.
Right. Right.
So like the Inc, the Cranes,
Right.
like those are the ones that are paid. But they're, yes, I think Built In might be paid. I think the Glassdoor one is like actually based on reviews, but then it's like you could also flood reviews. Like there's like ways to game the system, but there are real ones still out there.
Didn't that come
like
up in a recent episode of ours?
it did. It's almost like that's a thing.
Why? Anyway, they have a great reputation
because of their
things
values.
are going great. Right.
Yep.
Great.
And so they basically have the same values that everyone else has, like communication, innovation, integrity, etc. But the one we care the most about for today's story is transparency. So let me ask you.
Okay.
What does transparency in the context of a company value usually mean?
Nothing. Is that the right answer?
What's the intention? What are the words that define it? And then how is it posted on a website?
What's so funny about it is that usually employees and the company have very different definitions of what transparency means, which is why it's so important that your values have clear definitions and behaviors attached to them, because your employees will say transparency means we get to know everything that's happening all the time. And your executive team, your board, your whatever, your board probably doesn't care, but some do. Transparency means open and honest communication about the things we are able to share. But employees usually take transparency to mean everything is available to everyone. This came up at a company I worked for once when we were deciding, this is very like shop talk, but we were deciding on a policy for Google Drive sharing. And in any G Suite sysadmins out there, the admin can make a decision on what the company default is, and then it just defaults, right? And we were trying to decide whether the default was going to be anyone at the company can find and view, or the default was going to be private.
Yeah.
And it was a huge debate, and we went back and forth a million times on it because we valued transparency. And if we value transparency, shouldn't all documents be available to everyone all of the time? And I was tearing out my hair because that's not what transparency means in the context of a company, which is why it's a shitty value.
Yeah, it's the worst value. It's my least favorite. Yeah,
when I said it's my favorite again from like a shot.
It's like an infamous way. Yeah.
It's so bad it's good.
Yeah. And at Jimmy's, transparency rolls into pretty much everything they do. So they have an open floor plan with glass offices and conference rooms.
Transparent offices.
Yep, transparent offices. They have a weekly all hands where the CEO takes them through their numbers for the week so everyone knows how the company is doing. That's good.
Great.
To me, I think that's
that.
Great. All that good stuff. One of the big rules, it's so specific, but one of the big rules about transparency is open calendars. So everyone can see everything on anyone's calendar at any time. All you have to do is type in their name in the Gmail calendar and you can see everything that person has blocked off. Sales calls, internal meetings, deep work, stand-ups, and also anything personal, like doctor's appointments, gym sessions, etc. Because if you're doing something during work hours, the culture dictates that you must be transparent about it. Alicia doesn't love this policy. She gets the intention of it, but sometimes leaders, executives, and HR need to have meetings about things that aren't really everyone's business. So I was going to say my hot take is that transparency should never be a value. It can never truly be upheld for all the reasons that you've said. Like there's always going to be stuff happening that not everyone is privy to. And it sounds like you're on a similar page, right?
Yeah. In my less generous times, I think to myself when someone is like, but our calendar should be public. I'm like, grow up. This is a company. This is a business. Like, you don't get to know that I'm going to the gynecologist. Like, I'm going to just put busy on my calendar and you're going to deal with it. But of course, I would never speak that way to a colleague and a coworker, just in the sanctity of this podcast and over drinks with friends. This is why it's such a hard value to enforce or to implement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And open calendar policies are so
Yeah.
I
I'm
get
okay
it.
with open calendars to an extent. Like if it's like, okay, I have like, we do open calendars at Skill Cycle. It's not a policy. It's just, we just happen to do that. But if we have an event on our calendar that's just busy or blocked, like no one cares. It's like, it is what it is. But it's more like if you see that I have something blocked off that maybe I can move because that's the only time that you're available to meet with me. Like that's why we do open calendars, not just for the sake of like, because if we don't, then people are going to think we're lying, which is very much
it's the balance between transparency and privacy. Like people are still entitled to privacy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I would hate this so much.
And so because this is such a thing here, because open calendars are such a thing, employees will look at leadership's calendars all the time.
Of course.
Like it's a known behavior and it's practically encouraged by the CEO in every all hands. He believes that it makes him more trustworthy to his employees. We're going to call him Ethan. Ethan feels like, you know, my people can trust me because they always know where I'm going to be. I'm an open book. Like he thinks this is like Brene Brown vulnerability. Like you can see my calendar.
That's cute.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, this is someone who, like, good intention, good founder, good idea. Like, this is actually one of those, like, the culture is, like, the vibes are great, but, like, it's not, there's not, from what I got, there wasn't this level of toxicity that we usually get from these stories. It's just like, this guy has no idea how badly this can go.
Yeah. Well, we're in what is like a, you know, there's the Maya Angelou quote about, like, when you know better, you can do better. We didn't know better back then.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't be mad at him for this because how he didn't know. I can't be mad at Ethan. He has good intentions.
Oh yeah.
But in hindsight, it's very my sweet summer child.
Yeah, exactly. And so when Alicia needs to schedule like a private conversation with Ethan, she usually just uses a workaround. So she'll use code words in the invite. So again, like that's immediately now you're just not being you're just lying. You're preaching transparency. Exactly. Yeah. So if she needs to discuss a termination, she'll put like puppy play date on Ethan's calendar. Like this is why I don't believe in this because you say that you're being transparent and then you're not living your values, then that becomes like a whole thing. Like values have to be something you can actually live.
It's worse.
It's worse to lie.
It is less transparent to pretend you're being transparent, but really you're lying than it is to just say transparency within reason. And here's how we define that.
Yeah. It's like when whenever someone says in a business sense, like in the spirit of transparency, I immediately know that they're going to be lying. Yeah. Or I immediately know that there's going to be something that they're not telling me and they're trying to tell me that they're not. Like it's just one of those trigger words now. So this particular day, Alicia needs to schedule time with Ethan for something. So she pulls up his calendar. Typical thing. Yep. It's usually impossible for them to find open time that overlaps. Also typically normal. Great. So she usually has to see if like one of them can like punt one meeting to make room for the other. Yeah. So she sees that his whole Friday is blocked off, which is odd because she doesn't know anything about him being out of office on Friday, which usually he's like, he'll announce that in the all hands. He'll be like, I'm going to be out on Friday.
Great.
So then she sees
his like 300 or 400 employees. We're not talking like a 30-person company. Those 400 employees, even they do not care that you're going to be out on Friday.
Yeah. But even then, like she would care. And she's like, I don't know anything about this. So like, what's up?
Right.
So then she sees what the all day event is titled and her jaw drops.
Uh-oh.
Just for fun, do you have any guesses about what could be on Ethan's calendar all day on Friday?
Okay. There's a couple ways this could go. Speaking from personal experience, this could be a private matter that involves like I have to see a doctor or a lawyer for like all day visits. That's less fun, so I feel like that's probably not it. It could be, I kind of hope it's one of those like I'm doing ayahuasca in the desert on Friday and I'm going to be out of my mind tripping balls and I will not be at work. I hope he's doing like a 3-day weekend for a soul searching meditation retreat because that's more fun. That makes me think it's not. Or he's put in his calendar like layoffs and he's really stupid and he did something he should not have done. Tell me, Rebecca.
So it's none of those. It's none of those. So right there, all day, orgy.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Yup. So
no.
Alicia knows.
Okay.
Alicia knows that Ethan sometimes gets calendar invites with weird names to give some privacy in this open calendar culture. So she's like, maybe this is not that. Maybe this is a jokester. Maybe this is something else.
It's the operational ground report yes crew.
Exactly. It could be that.
It could be that.
So she notices that there's an address in the invite.
Oh, no.
And she gets curious. She Googles it.
Of course. I would too.
And it's a members only swingers club.
Yes.
The event invite is owned by the club. So the conclusion that Alicia draws is that Ethan is registered for or was at least invited to this event by an organizer at this members only, very expensive, exclusive club.
With his work email.
With his work email, and he RSVP'd yes.
Yes, of course
with
he did.
10 other people whose names and email addresses are all clearly visible in the event invite to anyone in the company.
No, it's not even like the rest of the guests have been hidden.
Nope.
Oh, Ethan, why are you using your work email for this?
Like this swingers club has the same transparency value or something.
I mean, I could understand maybe like wanting to know who else is going to be at your orgy for like, I don't know, maybe someone RSVPs.
Calendar invite, I would think there'd be like an email intro or something somewhere. I don't know.
How does one set up an orgy in 2012? I don't know.
Talk about
I wasn't doing
quests.
Oh my god!
So what do? You see this? What do you do? Do you say something to Ethan,
Absolutely,
or do you leave it alone?
I say something to Ethan. No, I immediately am. I don't know if they were using if this is pre-Slack. Maybe they're in like IRC or something. Or I would just go walk up to him and be like, Ethan, you have an orgy on Friday. Care to explain?
That's exactly what she chooses to do. She's like, I have to say something. Yeah, I would do the same thing.
We're in a transparent company.
Exactly. Transparency's a value.
Let's push it to the limit.
Yep.
Tell me about your orgy, buddy.
So Alicia gets up and walks towards Ethan's office. She's like, I'm just going right to him. So she sees through his glass door that he's wrapping up a meeting. So she kind of just like hovers outside the glass wall. Do you remember like waiting for meetings in these things? Like you're just sort of standing there and you're just like, you feel like you're standing in the middle of the floor.
It's so awkward. And you're standing and you're like, I know they can see me. I know I can see them. The only thing it was good for is for shaming the assholes who let their meetings run really super late, because you can stand outside the conference
just like
room and be
stand
like,
there and stare at them. Yeah. I would go in and I would kick them out. I'd just be like, you're done here. This is my space.
Yep. Oh, okay. So she's waiting.
Ethan's meeting ends. Other person walks out and she just slips right in. And she goes, hey, Ethan, have a sec? And he's like, yeah, sure. I have someone coming in soon, but what's up? Again, just like the personality of this guy. He's like, he was described as like very genuine, very open. Of
course.
Like, good vibes. Good vibes.
Sweet summer child.
Sweet Ethan. Yeah.
Yes.
He goes, I have someone coming in soon, but what's up? She goes, I wanted to set up some time for us to meet about that thing. And when I pulled up your calendar, I noticed your Friday's blocked off. And he goes, oh yeah, I'll be out Friday. She goes, right. Did you mean to put that on your work calendar? And he's like, that I'm out? Yes. She's like, Ethan, your orgy invite is on your work calendar. And he goes, wait, what? She's trying to like hint at it at first and kind of be like, pick up what I'm putting down, sir. And he's like, what?
Nope. He's just he's too sweet. He doesn't know.
Too sweet, doesn't know. So
I love her.
He's like, wait, what? She goes, yes. So he pulls up his calendar and he sees exactly what she means. And he goes, this is my favorite part. He goes, oh, well, I can't take it down now.
I guess now everyone knows.
Why not? Yeah. He goes, people probably already saw it. If I take it down, I'm being less transparent. And Alicia's like, Ethan, there's a difference between company transparency and personal life transparency.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but if I change it now and people already saw it, they'll wonder why I took it down. They'll think it's shady. And she goes, I highly doubt they'll think it's shady. And he goes, I'm just really torn about what to do.
Aww.
So she goes, let me ask you this. Do you want your employees to know everything about your personal life? And this is like sort of a rough question for Ethan. You see him like, he's sort of trying to figure it out. Yep. And he's like, I mean, I have nothing to hide. So she's like, it's not about hiding anything. It's about boundaries. You having boundaries in what you share and them having boundaries in what they know. So then he asks, what do you think? I love when like HR becomes like now this like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like, tell me what to do. I'm going to relinquish my own agency in this and make you tell me what to do.
Yes.
So to Alicia's credit, she's like, she's still just kind of like,
you should take it down.
Yeah, she goes, I mean, since you seemed to be unaware that this was visible, I would take that to mean you didn't want everyone to see it. So if that is true, I'd say move it to your personal email or just make it private. Because like you can adjust the setting on this, on this event. And he goes, one private event means it's okay to have other private events. So he's like, what precedent am I setting? He's like, really?
It's personal.
But he's still like, well, that means we can have private events on the calendar. What does that mean? So she goes, here's the thing. It is okay to have private events, Ethan. It's just like, it's okay to do that. It's not just okay. It's appropriate. We already have code words for sensitive meetings. I don't see how that's different. So he goes, okay, fine. I'll change it to private. So she got him there.
Great.
So we're almost at the end. There's like a little bit like Ethan just like changes the event to private. So remember when I first said that it's not uncommon for employees to calendar creep on leadership? Well, as Ethan feared, this became the talk of the town. Talk about gossip. Of course.
Oh, God.
People who saw the original event and didn't have a reaction to it, like, because originally they were just like, whatever, like, I don't really have a reaction to this. They were suddenly like, wow, why does he feel the need to hide that now? What's he really up to? Like, they're like, well, he's obviously now being shady because he's not being honest about whatever this is. And like, as this gossip spread, there were so many versions of what that event originally was, and no one could prove or disprove anything. Legend has it, employees still tell versions of this story at that company to new hires because it kicked off an entire values overhaul where transparency was officially eliminated or like replaced with something else, but it was taken off the table.
Amazing.
And all I know is this was the moment when that company was like, you know what? We just lived our values too hard. We did it too well. And we just need to cut it and change them.
We flew too close to the sun.
Way too close to the sun.
Oh my god!
And that's the story of Alicia and Ethan with the orgy on a Friday.
I love that. The other thing I will say is that, like, excuse me, we are more aware of these things now than we were back then as a HR community. But it's not just about like, do you want to share this with the company? Do you really want everyone to know you're going to an orgy? It's like, do you really want to impose that on all of your employees? Do you want all of your employees to receive that information about you that they didn't ask for, or that you not just like because it might trigger someone and you might want to avoid offending someone or something like that, but just being aware of the types of information you're subjecting employees to and whether it's appropriate for the workplace. Like, and then what behavior is that encouraging? So if you're allowed to put your orgy on your calendar, do you want other employees putting their sexploits on their calendars? And now everyone just knows everything because nothing is sacred. Like nothing is, there are no boundaries. And that's where, like, I think transparency is a fine value if it is like transparency with boundaries, and you explain what that means. I had a leader that I worked with once who I did calendaring support for, and I was scheduling like therapy sessions and couples counseling and eventually divorce attorney meetings.
That's like very close to personal information.
Yeah. And I was like, and he was like, we'll put them on the calendar. And similarly, like we agreed that what was most appropriate was to put personal time or busy or out of the office. And then he can have whatever he wanted on his personal calendar, which I also managed. But in order to keep some of his life separate from work, which was important, it was important to him. He like understood the concept of boundaries. But I've had to talk to other leaders about this in the future, in the future from that moment, which is the past from now. Had to have that conversation about calendar transparency. Why do you want calendar transparency? Is it because you want it to be easy for people to schedule and reschedule meetings? Is it because you don't want people to feel like you're keeping secrets? Is it because it's too complicated technically for you to remember to make things private? Like, why is transparency important to you? And that's this came up, since we're talking values, like this came up when I worked at Discuss. We had a first version of our values that included humility, and it was all about being humble and, you know, recognizing that the world is a big place and we're not rock star ninja unicorns. We are people. And it was lovely. But as we grew, we realized that people were interpreting humility in different ways. And what that was resulting in our culture was people being afraid to celebrate wins. They were afraid to celebrate their success. They were afraid to like speak up when they had done something good or advocate for themselves for a promotion or whatever, because they were worried that they wouldn't be perceived as humble. And so we took a step back and we're like, why is this a value? What is the definition? What are all of the words that go into it before we choose the one word that's going to symbolize all of it? Like, what is actually the root of this value that's important to us? And we realized that what it came down to really was curiosity. It was what the important thing was, which is, you know, different from humility. But the core definition that we were using actually didn't change that much.
Yeah, it's just the word itself is what changed.
Yeah, exactly. And we added into our definition, like explicitly, like we celebrate our wins, but we also recognize that like other people are doing cool shit too.
Yeah. We celebrate ourselves and we celebrate each other.
Exactly. Because that's what we cared about was like, are you curious enough to realize that, you know, there's someone out there you could learn from? Are you humble enough to realize you're not the best person in the world?
Yeah. And maybe that's what it means when you're like four people who already have like a lot of trust among each other too, like a lot of trust and confidence. Like that's also different. Like as it extends beyond the founding team, the people who are kind of just like, you know, there's the level of trust also, I think, influences how effective your value is. Absolutely. And how, you know, the time when it's time to revisit it. Because, you know, I don't love trust as a value either because I think it has good intention. But it's like if you're talking trust in your brand, it's how it's defined to be like, if I'm being like really, really honest about it, I think it's like how it's defined. Because if you're talking trust in your brand, trust in your product, trust in safety, like that's good. But assuming trust in each other right away, or just like, you know, that's hard. It's hard to actually live that. I think it's great aspirationally, if you're going to then do the work to build trust among people. Right.
Because you have to think about the context that you're existing in. And the more you hire, the more diverse your population is. Even just within one country, not to mention like if you're going global, these linguistic nuances start to show up in the way that people are interpreting your values. And interpreting, just like in this case, if you're interpreting the value of transparency to mean nothing is a secret, you're going to have a really hard time operating a business.
Yeah. And I think with like going back to transparency real quick is like it's about kind of balancing transparency and discretion. And it's really hard because people know when you're hiding something from them. And I don't know about you. We kind of like mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like I've gotten asked some very direct questions before from employees that I can't answer. Like I had to terminate someone once and we let the team know that like we were terminating them and they were no longer with us, or that they were terminated. They were no longer with us. And people asked why they were told why they weren't told that this person was on a plan. Like why they were told that they weren't told why they were on track. And like they asked how much severance we were giving them. It was like, you have to check your entitlement. Like you're not entitled to that info because it's also, people are also entitled to their privacy. Like we're not going to advertise that this person's on a performance plan. If they choose to tell you and say, hey, I got put on a plan today, I'm going to try to, you know, overcome it or whatever, or I'm going to try to get fired. That's up to them. That's their information to share.
Exactly.
But you know, I think that's like I don't know, there's so many, and it's so hard to not just want to respond to that and be like, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
I know.
Would you want me to tell your coworkers that you were on a plan? Probably not.
Add it to the all hands, a list of who went on a PIP this week. Like,
who's probably getting fired this quarter? I don't know. Let's see. These people.
Like, no, that's not how this works. There's a really interesting balance between people's entitlement and I don't know, like existing as a human in the world. I feel like there's, when we talk about the entitlement culture of that kind of decade of HR work, when people were just so flush with perks and bonus things that you wouldn't normally expect from the workplace and money, that like it bred this sort of entitlement environment. But it goes beyond the like, we don't have the right kind of milk today. Me. Like,
I quit my job over that stuff. I quit my HR job over that. It was literally over snacks and yogurt.
I mean, I almost did, and then we hired an office manager.
This is your problem now.
It's like, I can't answer questions about whether or not we're out of goldfish. I can't keep doing this all day long.
I don't care.
I
don't care.
Especially, this is very off track, but like, especially when you're in HR and you know how much money everybody makes, and you know that the person who is complaining that we're out of goldfish crackers makes like 4 times your salary.
Yes.
And you're like,
oh my God,
walk downstairs, go to the Walgreens next to our office and buy yourself some goldfish.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah.
I have to design our comp plan.
Nothing will drive me crazier than people who complain about free stuff and favors. Like, don't even go there. Don't even go there.
Yep. Don't.
It makes people really hard. And there is sort of I think with that same era that we had transparency as a value, this mid 2010s in these like tech companies, that was also just a high entitlement era too. And I know entitlement is kind of one of those things. It's always sort of like a hot topic word, because it always, someone's always entitled, right? And there's always like someone who uses it to dismiss someone else. And it's just, But what I mean by entitlement is like just not understanding what information you're privy to, and also not understanding like what benefits you're privy to. And when I say benefits, I mean like free snacks in the office. I'm not talking like health benefits. I'm talking perks. Perks is the better word for that. And like there's just sometimes people just have to check themselves, and it's just like, I'm sorry, we're all here just doing a job. Like no one is here to, no one's here to service you, or like, that's not what this is. We're all supposed to be professionals working towards this agenda for this company. Why can't we act like that?
Well, and then, bringing it back to your values, like how do your values support that culture? If there's an entitlement culture happening at your company, how are your values helping or hurting in that situation? Like how can you lean on your values to course correct if you're in a situation where people are complaining all the time about not knowing things that they feel they should know? Can you take a look and be like, okay, we value transparency here. Maybe we need to be a little more clear about what that means. Yeah. Maybe we need to be a little more clear about what that doesn't mean.
I think that's where Alicia went really right.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's where Alicia went really right in this, because she went over to Ethan. She had the conversation with him about his calendar invite.
She was transparent.
She was open, radical candor and all that. But then they also they took that as a chance. She leaned in. She did all the things. She did everything right.
She girl bossed her way right into that information.
She did. Oh my God, the girl boss. But what I think was the really extra good move in that is that they took it as a chance to revisit their values. Yeah. And what I have to say, the subtext of this story is, it's actually almost the opposite of last episode, where it was the CEO and the HR person were just oil and water, and he undermined her. This is actually where you have a good CEO who's trying to build a good company, who, takes his HR person seriously. Now, this is just a very small interaction that we see between the two of them. But when you look at the fact that she didn't hesitate to get up and just go right into his office and talk to him, he wasn't too busy for her. He was like, I have someone coming in, but what's up? More in a, just if it's super confidential, they might hear it. So don't be too transparent about it.
He was open to her feedback, and he was open to the discussion. I love that it sparked a discussion for them about what does this mean for us? What do you want to be transparent about? Yeah. Is there anything that you might not want to be transparent about?
And how often do you see a situation where a CEO is thinking about setting precedent in behaviors? And I know this is because I was laughing at first, because I'm this seems like such a small thing, but you can almost hear his engineering brain, or his what are we, if we allow this, then what are we allowing later? Yeah. And he's like, well, if I make this private now, then that means that it's acceptable to have private invites, because there's this part where he didn't feel like he was above anything. He wasn't asking anybody to do something that he wasn't going to do himself. Right. And that's lovely. No wonder this place did actually have a good cultural reputation. Right. Excuse me. They actually had good vibes, good stuff. Because there's something about, the way that just this little tiny snippet of an interaction went that I was like, this is actually really cool. Like, Alicia had a really good CEO, and she was there for a long time. Like, she's not there anymore, but like she was there for a long time, and she loved it. Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
Sometimes that happens.
May more
possible.
CEOs be like Ethan, a little hapless, but well-intentioned and with listening ears that work.
And open to feedback, and open to partnering with their HR person to drive what they need in the company.
Be an Ethan. Don't be a Chad.
Yeah, for sure.
I love this.
I love this one too.
Thank you. Thank you for this story.
Of course. And that's all for this episode of HR Confessions. If you want to submit your own confession, so I know I have like a laundry list of ways that you can do it. So you can shoot me a DM on LinkedIn. You can write it out. You can send me a voice note. If you want to text me, just ping me on LinkedIn and I'll send you my cell phone number. You can text me. You can send me voice notes. You can email us at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. You can submit your feedback in a link in the show notes, and you can send over your HR confession that way too. Like, I will accept them anyway, anyhow you want. We can set up time and we can chat, because like, I love to meet our listeners. I love to meet anybody in my network. So I also think I'm a fun conversationalist, and maybe I'll come with some stories for you too. So don't be shy.
Just don't send your stories to me, because then it's
Kim
spoilers.
can't have them. Kim can't have them. No spoilers.
Wah, wah. No spoilers though. I like being surprised by all this nonsense.
Yeah. I don't think you had any like head in your hand moments for this one compared to some of the others. So I needed to give you a good one.
This one was, it was shocking, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Shocking but fun.
Shocking but fun. That's what we're going for today.
That's also the subtitle of Ethan's calendar event on Friday.
No.
Zing.
Poor Ethan. I hope you had a good time.
I hope so too. And then I hope he switched his email address to his private email with the private sex club.
Desperately hope that. But
what a sweetheart.
I wonder if it's like an autofill. Like, I wonder if it's like an autofill situation, But
I
don't know.
think he probably just didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to speculate too much.
I know plenty of CEOs from that time period who had one email address and one email address only, and it was their work email.
That's very true. Very true. Well, thank you, Kim, and thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.